Hello and thank you for watching. In the last video, we talked about God revealing himself to all the Israelites and giving them the 10 Commandments. And I promised that I would give you the tools to be able to spot false prophets in this video. And that's where we're going to start with today. In the book of Deuteronomy, the 5th book of the Bible, the last book of Moses, before he dies, he promises the Israelites that God will raise up a new prophet to replace him. And the Israelites ask him, well, how are we going to know that the prophet's actually from God? Now, verse 20 says, if any prophet dares to speak a message in my name that I haven't commanded him, that prophet must be put to death. Well, how do we know if it's a message that's from God? 2 criteria. One, if he speaks falsely, if he prophesies and it doesn't come true, well, that's got to tell you something. The prophet says something's going to happen, it better happen, right? Otherwise, we know he's lying. We got to kill him. Now, the other thing is, what if he does prophesy and it does come true? Well, he could still be a liar and a deceiver and a false prophet. How do we know? If the message he speaks goes against anything in Torah, if it goes against any of the rules or the laws or the mitzvahs in the Old Testament, we know that this person's a liar and a fraud and a scam, and we shouldn't listen to him and we shouldn't be afraid of him. But what do we do if there's a problem that's too big or that we can't interpret? Well, the Bible solves that answer too. In Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 8, if a case is too difficult, you got to take it to the courts, the leading sages, the Pharisees, and they will make a decision. Now, God could have very easily have told Moses, if anybody has a problem that they can't solve, just have them pray to me and I'll come down and give them the answer. God doesn't say that. He says take it to the courts. So we have this intricate system set up that solves our problems. And furthermore, God says in Numbers, chapter 15, verse 39, tells us not to follow your heart or your own eyes, okay, but follow the word of the law. Here's one more thing in Deuteronomy that's very interesting. God himself is going to test you, all right? In Deuteronomy chapter 13, God lets us know that he will send false prophets to test us, to make sure that we're paying attention, to see whether we love him with all our heart and all our soul. So now we can test anyone to see if they're a true or false prophet. If their prophecy doesn't come true, that's one sign. If they speak a message different than what God has given, that's another sign. And it's important to remember not to be afraid of the false prophet. Just tell them to shut up and go away. So right here and now, we're going to get rid of our first false prophet. It comes in the form of James, the letter of James in the New Testament. This passage from the letter of James in the New Testament, the very first chapter, verse 13, it says, no one should say, God is tempting me, because God does not tempt anyone. So we know this guy's a liar. Rip it out, throw it in the trash.